Hi, welcome to my video. I'm Jennifer Roberts. You're catching me on True Divine 44. You can reach me at Bitchute at the same and Facebook True Divine 44 and the True Divine for both Instagram and Twitter. Any likes, shares, subscribes, comments the most are absolutely gratefully received, and thank you so much for everybody who does that thus far. So this is the daily energy reading that I put out, combining the energy work that I do and the tarot work that I do to bring a narrative to help you guide your day to the highest potentials, recognizing the energies with foresight within you, around you, and within others. It is general, so take what resonates and leave what does not. Just use it for your best day. So on the bottom of the deck, we've got the Queen of Coins. And so this is speaking to having a requirement through the divine feminine energy, even if you're male, to be in honoring and connection with the ground that you're actually walking on, the present moment, what you see in front of you, and having a certain connection to that, but having the wisdom of the Queen, this is a queen after all, to do that for your greatest good, to not be connected to other people's projections of the world, other people's projections of their wanting of reality or their reality that they have created. To have the wisdom to know that right now a lot of energy is being harnessed and has been for a long, long time by very few in the shadows, in the powers, and they go through the hierarchy. They have the certain puppeteers, the politicians, the lawmakers, the Hollywood actors and actresses, the music industry, mainstream media. They have their puppeteers working, and then they work on the next level in many of the many. And so then it's those puppets that are being puppeteered by the shadows that are then puppeteering the many in the many, that we see that a lot of the energy being harnessed is actually projecting the very reality that ultimately the beings in the shadows seek. But people are psyops at all levels, even certain puppeteers within politics, law, and education, science. All of those things are unknowingly, to the extent of knowing the full damage. But most are also being psyopsed into the shadows concept of reality. And they're being rewarded for greatly to make sure that they're very good puppeteers. And then we have the many within the many in the collective that are then allowing their strings to be pulled in order to project the reality and bolster the idea and the reality of that reality into fruition, which is so big and so prevalent. They've done this string pulling very, very well. It's amazing in its concept, in that they are harnessing at any given moment millions and millions and millions of people's energy. And even those who they haven't got direct strings to, those that are aware enough, and like this Queen of Coins, in wisdom enough to not have strings attached to anything outside of the within, then they still, by this huge concept that is developed for these shadowy beings, it's developed into a huge energy factory, because even those that are awake and aware to it, because of the extent of those that are being puppeted, we see that it still has a rub-on effect. You know, because it's happening so prevalently, and it's the factory of projection through other people's eyes is working so well, you can't help but, even if you've ascended enough to not be part of it where it upsets you, the wisdom of this Queen of Coins, it still has that tinge to it, doesn't it? You still smell it, you still see it in people, you still feel for others. Even if you're really good at transmuting that really quick, you still have an idea of it. You're still restricted by it, in that, yes, like me, you'll go about your life and you'll go about it as much as possible. But I'm not going to stand there and fight either, and give my energy into a fight to get into a shop if they won't let me in without the mask on. You know, I'm restricted by that manner, in that I'll end up having to go somewhere else. So it's been very limiting at the moment. And so it's the wisdom of the Queen of Coins. How do I want to say this? Is to be grounded enough in the present, in your reality as is, but to have the wisdom to project the reality that you are aiming for, whether that's the reality of your day, the reality of the next hour, the reality of a longer term goal. Make sure you're doing work to project that reality. And that can be really difficult in these energies when there is so much low frequency magic going on, to pull people in, to have strings attached to them in one way or the other. So the Queen of Coins comes in to say that grounding is a balancing act also, you know, to absorb what is good for you, be observant of what is maybe not so good for you, be present enough to engage with the world still, but have the wisdom again to know which aspects of the world to not give energy to or time to. And that includes the people and the things on both sides of that pro and con list. So the Queen of Coins is coming in with a heavy hitting message today, to continuously be grounded enough to recognize your present, to not waste this gift, this game that you're playing right now, of this experience, to be leveling up no matter what the external is, but to have the wisdom to continuously project through taking action. It's planned action with the coins, with the pentacles, to project the reality that you want or that you desire. And so to not spend so much time looking at the reality that you don't want to continue, or you don't want for your future. So pretty coming in hot and heavy there, the Queen of Coins, isn't she? So we've got next the High Priestess, and this speaks to, a second, I can't get it off with this bandage on my finger. It's the number 2 major arcana, and this speaks to knowing knowing the realms, knowing the hidden, knowing what is not seen, having those secrets, those keys, being able to be in a higher consciousness, to receive keys that unlock truths, knowledge, wisdom, and power. And again, it's a divine feminine energy. And so there's much to be revealed, and it's right here. It's right here in this, in the reach of this reality right now, with this Queen of Coins. And just like the tree lives in the underground and lives right up in the, what you would call the heavens, it goes through each realm, look, as it plants itself, as it roots itself. And the bigger its roots get, the more widespan its roots get, the more bigger and widespan the twigs get, the capacity to hold more leaves. So that would reflect the higher consciousness. But it's built in the darkness. The foundation that holds the top of that tree is built in the shadow, in the darkness, in the foundation of the seed, in the foundation of the being that is this tree, that is you. And so to be able to be grounded in that, like that Queen of Pentacles, if you picture what I do regularly, digging your toes into the soil or into the sand, wherever you are, that makes it easy for you to push your toes into the ground that you're standing upon. And sort of, you can feel the coolness and you can feel the calmness. You can feel that energy really rebalancing, and you can feel almost an energetic toxic drain. And the more you dig your feet in and the more you feel that coolness, that slight coolness that is from the surface to where you've dug your toes into, you can see that in the hidden, in the shadows, with this coming in with this high priestess again, what is not obviously seen, the more you dig into your foundation, the more you know yourself more in your present reality in this 3D realm, the more that you dig into the experiences that you are having and go into your underground, into your root, the higher consciousness you can attain, the higher echelons of the knowledge of self, the more elite of self you become, because you are creating imbalance. The wider spread and deeper your toes roots get, the wider spread and deeper, not your twigs, your branches get. And so there's so much to be seen and understood right now. And with the divine feminine energy, there's a lot of chaos to the divine feminine energy just in itself. Even the way that women birth physical children into this realm, it is almost chaotic, the way the muscles are going, the breathing's going, to bring in something so beautiful. So in this chaotic present time, while all of this low frequency magic is getting thrown out, we embody the divine feminine Queen of Coins, and we embody the divine feminine of the High Priestess. It not being so obvious as to what the baby's features are going to be like, so your creation, what color eyes it's going to eventually have, that's still hidden while this birthing process, this creative process, I speak of labor because for want of a better depiction of what I'm trying to explain, but even for a man in that creative space, you feel the hidden first, and you just have to sort of feel that out, but you trust that something's there. You trust that the features of that something, that creation, is there. And that's when you start getting deeper and deeper into the creative process that builds up the features into then the 3D manifestation in the physical realm. So it comes from the hidden, this knowledge, this wisdom, this power, and it is absorbed through those roots, and then it can be used and on all levels of consciousness of self. But we do that while we're in this realm. It seems that we do that best through experience. So to be in the hidden simultaneously, like we are, you know, in different timelines, different time realms, simultaneously, even our past, present, and future happening at the same time, we can then go into these other realms from the hidden and use this knowledge in the experience, in the physical present. So I hope that makes sense, because it's deep knowledge and it's very usable if I've explained it, if I've done it justice. So the first card in the reading is the Moon card, another major arcana. And this is speaking of there being a middle way, a middle ground. It's speaking of cycles, rebirth, the cycles of the moon with this crab coming out of the water. it speaks of there being one reality for the crab in the water, then a very different one on land. And we have these two columns, these two towers towering up that frame the moon. And there is the middle ground to walk through. Both of these towers representing an extreme difference to the other, and the middle ground is the way to go. Be observant of whatever these towers are for you, but to find that middle ground, that balance. Again, we've just been talking about that with the divine feminine. This is more divine feminine energy with the moon energy. To be in the moment, of the moment, but the moment isn't you, if I've said that correctly. What else? It's speaking to the mysteries. The moon is that divine feminine, mysterious, what is on the dark side of the moon energy. We even with that question, or questioning what is in that creative dark space, what goes on there, and we start to project certain things that we can summarize go on there. And some of them we might hit home with some truth, and some of them, that we're not so spot on. And so this speaks to being in that dark, shadowy place and not being afraid of it, being able to feel your way through it without panic, but actually being able to let go of any of the limitations that has stopped you going really deep in knowing thyself more. That they don't stop you, that you dig deeper and deeper and deeper and travel these realms of self. This is what would give you, in esoteric knowledge, the keys to travel to different realms and do it in this reality, in this real time, and know that you've turned keys within these experiences and the lessons within these experiences to be able to unlock energetically these different realms, to be able to go and view them, to visit them, to be observant of them. And so it speaks also of being in tune. There's a lot Wayne mentioned on his show the other day about the calendar, or I did, I can't remember, but we both talked about it anyway. But it's always being a step away from what really works. The cycles and nature here really work. They work beautifully. They work awesomely. But we, with this calendar that all of a sudden just got introduced, and these organized religions that all of a sudden just got introduced and cannot be questioned now, this time and this way of thinking about time got introduced. It keeps us a step away all of the time. It keeps us out of sync all of the time to a certain level if we are not aware of it. From the solstices, from the seasons, from that which makes this reality abundant, because you are just like a woman's menstrual cycle, which the moon is representative of. There is time into it. You can plan for it. You can be in step with it. If you're planning to have a child, you can be really on point when that creative zone is there. So we're like a step off all of the time, out of sync all of the time. And we do need to work really hard to get in sync with self, but also get in sync with this realm and the cycles that naturally happen on this level, on this realm, in order for us to be able to use this body, this avatar, this key initially, to do the right things like breathing, to unlock that moment where we release ourselves from our body, and then energetically we are freer. And depending on how ascended we are in this practice, we are more free each time to go to further realms, go to different realms. We turn these keys, but we have to be present in this moment with this body and with this nature in order to have this initial key cut right, in order to have it in a condition or in a knowing where it can be told how to relax and release itself, release what it cocoons into these different realms. And so there's so much to be seen in short within the moon. We've got the Seven of Cups to clarify the moon card. Now this speaks of, it came up the other day or yesterday, was it? So it speaks of lots of projects, of lots of ideas, lots of desires, lots of yearnings to get some things done and be accomplished and feel those feelings, feel those emotions that are held within each plan, each project, each desire that is held within each of these cups. And so what are we doing here with this moon card is that I feel that these are keys, emotional keys, with the number 7, the 7 layers. A lot of emotion has to be released here with the moon for some of you, in that a lot of emotion that comes from generations back and that has affected you even in this lifetime through childhood, that needs to be released. Forgiveness of mothers, forgiveness of actions, forgiveness at moments when mothers were absent. For some of you, absolutely. And this might feel today like a sea of tears. It might feel like an emotional tsunami, where something about the cycle of the moon today releases. There's a key that's turned there in the cycle. I don't know what the alignments of the planets are, but the moon for sure is releasing those waters. And so you might feel this very emotional, just be in this very emotional state today. And your impulse will be to fight it, to bottle up the tears, to, hold them back. But the advice from me today is for you to flow with it like this waterfall in the background of the moon card that's calling out to me, and allow those tears to be released. Allow yourself to listen to your body's physical response to your emotional body in filling up your eyes, into releasing those salts. This acts as a pH balancer in itself. It's one of the levels for some of you to release some of those salts, to release some of those wounds that salt was rubbed into. And some of you that resonate with this are so frightened of this. There's this feeling of, if I start to crumble over that, if I start to cry over that, it's like you're still in that childhood moment where you're telling yourself, don't crumble, don't cry, because you didn't know how your world would end if you did. You didn't know how your day would end or how the punishment would end if you did. That fear of the ending as a child, now as an adult, is still there. But you are capable to not be afraid of any aspect of self, of any dark sides of your moon, of any shadows that lurk. You are capable of crying, and I promise you that when you've released this, you will stop. But this is part of being present in this physical body, in this moment, and being present even in your root, in your knowing of what went on, in your identity, knowing thyself, and certain aspects of that root very early on in your life being attacked, being limited, being told what it was, you were told what you were told what you would amount to. And with this with this, you still carry those same fears. Oh my goodness. But it is, think of it as a key. Think of it as you learning how to respond to self on all aspects, on all realms of self. And so with this moon energy, you're responding, you're allowing your body to speak. Your physical body is giving you the tears to shed. Your emotional body is being listened to, which is the moon card, the water energy, is being listened to, and is then knows that it can start to release this energy. What I want you to be careful of is that deceitful voice that will tell you, if you do this, your world will crumble. If you do this, your world will stop. If you release this, you're going to be weaker, because that's the lie. In releasing that and facing the fear that you had as a child about releasing that, or releasing your emotions, telling somebody what was going on. The fear of some of you, even when you did, you weren't listened to, and that made reality worse. That's not going to happen here, because you as the adult are already proving to your inner child self that is living in that past, which is your root. As you're a child, you grow and you learn your identity, you explore your identity, you explore who you are. You are already proving to that child that you have listened, because you're already listening to your physical body when it says it's got tears to shed. You're already proving to yourself in your waters that holds memories. So you're going back in time to when you are a child, and you have already proved to yourself that you're going to listen. You've already proved to yourself that you can face anything. So you see, you can let go of that fear that you won't be listened to, or you won't be responded to in a beautiful way, because you are in control of that. You are listening to you, and you are in control of treating yourself with compassion, with love, with empathy. Wow. There's so much growth here for those that resonate with this. And I'm sorry I went on quite a while, but for those that get this, even those that don't resonate with this deep message, and I know it might be quite a few of you that don't, because this feels intense. There's a lot there to think about, because this relates to all of us on some level. So, we have the next card is the Seven of Pentacles. I think this one came up too. So we've got 2 sevens. Okay. So I've been getting 1414 on the clock a lot, and I don't know why that came up for some of you. I think you've been seeing that same number. I've had a lot of synchronized numbers: 19, 19, 17, 17, 14, 14, and a bit of 2, 2, 2, 2. So I don't know why I needed to say that, but I did. So for the 7 of coins, we have because it's clarified, I want to go into this, because it's clarified by the Empress, another major arcana, which is why this feels like such an intense reading thus far, because we're not even finished with the major arcanas yet. and it's only a small reading. So with the Empress clarifying this 7 of coins, we are remembering that what I started off with this reading was the projection of reality, and being aware always of not having strings attached to us. You know, you don't have relationships with strings, in that, you know, you have these other people hijacking your reality and harnessing your energy on a personal level and going up to the so-called powers that be, as I explained at the start of the video, level. Harnessing your energy, puppeting you with strings, you know, those heart strings, whatever other strings, anger strings, whatever trigger strings, there's lots of them, to create the reality that they want. And for us always to be aware and alert to creating the reality that we desire, that we see, and being able to have the wisdom and empathy to enjoy other people's projections without their projection ultimately taking over ours. And so this is where we look at what lens are we looking at, what have we built up with this 7 of coins. Again, it's these 7 layers. This is where we contemplate the hard work that we have put in, and I think really have a talk to ourselves today as to which way round we've been working so hard to achieve success, sustainability, abundance. In that, have we really been going heavy at it in those dark, creative, shadowy spaces within self, and projecting out from a space that is fertilized and cleansed and clear in there of triggers, of strings, before we project out? Because even if we've been doing this, the energy feels so exciting yet serious, as the mother needs to step forward, and the mother needs to step forward in the men and women. But there needs to be a very different way of looking at how we build, how we create in this realm, where there has been such a heavy emphasis on patriarchal type of rule. This is where the mother is coming in. And so for those of you that need to release these emotions, phew, you know, that's where the mother's calling you to be. And or for those who are contemplating what they've built up and how they go forward to build up more. It's about looking at it from this divine feminine lens and seeing how we incorporate that into our projection too. And for the wider stage, this is where we're going to start seeing this divine feminine energy coming in to be noticed, to be taken heed of, to be utilized as a lens of how we bring this divine feminine energy in, how we incorporate that into a much more balanced way of building, of our own sustainability, our own accomplishments. So what abundance even looks like, what it really is. So for one, looking at some kind of announcements or moves that really do change financial announcements, basically. But you see, because a lot of us, all of us to a certain extent, have allowed such patriarchal rule, what does this look like? Because at the same time, there's a lot of strings to what abundance is and what it looks like, and what hard work is. That hard work is, on one hand, hard work is where we have, I'm sorry, there's lots of, more so than usual, lots of things coming through. So on one hand, we have this projection of reality that, hard work, blood, sweat, and tears pays off. And there's certain truth to that. But at the same time, the way it's put forward is that, people should be happy that they can work hard and have even 2 or 3 jobs and be super proud of doing that because they've worked super hard to build up what they've built up, even though it's probably still measly, in comparison to the so-called powers that be, preaching that very message: hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. But yet, most of them are in there because of a name, a family name, money being exchanged, favors being made by certain families. It's not what you know, it's who you know, kind of thing. So there's a cognitive dissonance there as to the divine feminine works on the inside before any blood, sweat, or tears is exchanged. The hard work, even by making a physical baby within the womb, the it's not seen, but the body is working super hard. The mother is giving to this creation in the dark space these nutrients all of the time. And so it's necessary that we look through that lens, but it's very difficult because I feel there's a shiftiness here to, again, block the divine feminine energy and hold on even more to the patriarchal energy as far as the way finance and housing is brought about. And because we are still hooked into this cognitive dissonance of a message regarding what hard work is, because the very people who preach it the most don't actually do that, is part of the wisdom that we need to take away. That, so what strings are holding us to that? The wisdom is that, with this divine feminine energy, certain parts of the chaos are payoffs, because people would always preach that, don't become a rock star, don't become a pianist, don't become an artist, there's no money in that. Yet, over this period of time, this gestational spell, we see that what is seen as, good, honest work that is, get you a definite pension, very much since 2008, but very much over the last 2 years, we've seen that actually, well, we can throw that knowledge out of the window. A lot of people have been stripped of their business, even though they did everything they were supposed to do with the blood, sweat, and tears ethos. A lot of people have been stripped of their work that they thought was a sure in of constant work until they retired. So the lens is changing, and it might not feel comfortable at first because we have many strings attached to these systems in order to even just sustain here. And we are we are here, a part of this time period where we actually get to see the changeover. And the changeover, the people who have the reins right now do not want to share, they do not want to give any over. And so this is where there's the gift, yay, in us being here. And it is a gift because there's lots to know, and it is spiritually exciting times. We are here to see the upheaval, the mud that comes up because there's this kicking up of the energy. There's these divine feminine waves coming forward. There's this new cycle coming in. And it's up to us how we determine to go forward, in that, are we willing to see different ways? Are we willing to build different ways through the lens of the divine feminine as well as the divine masculine? Are we willing to get the script the right way up, in that this realm very much so being a divine feminine aspect, a womb, a creative space, a massive creative space. So that's for that. Energy rushes. So we've got the 8 of Wands. So we've gone from the 7 to the 8. Now this speaks of just this reading and how I've been reacting to its swift movement, particularly today in the spiritual realm, in the unseen, like keys, knowledge, wisdom, messages, phew, coming flying in, flying arrows. And it's for you to, you know, take those arrows and decipher them and feel the desire, the fire to know what it means to you, to experience, to explore and expand in both of those aspects, to innerstand more, because today is definitely a day for a surge of hidden knowledge, going back to that high priestess on the bottom of the deck, bringing it into the physical realm with the Queen of Coins and the Empress card. So we've got a pretty balanced stake, because then the Moon card would very much go with the Divine Feminine, also of the High Priestess. So to clarify the 8 of Wands, we have the Moon. I don't know. Something seriously going on with the physical Moon today. I can't actually wait to see what that will be. Certain secrets being unlocked, certain knowings come into the fore. Almost like a certain library that's been locked for the longest time, opening its doors today. And for those that are this 8 of Wands, in search of the infinite knowledge, in search of the spiral, the cycle, the inner standing, that are willing to delve into that spiral to explore, you're going to hear the ring of the bell. You're going to hear the ding of the moon to say we're open. Come in and take a look around. Be this crab, be brave in emerging from the waters. You know, the crab is emerging from its world that it's very comfortable in, to open air, to a very different reality. It's going from one world literally to another, the watery world to the mud, to the solid, the fluid to the solid. So to an extent, it is about maintaining the fluidity, maintaining, even as you emerge from the water, the connection to your spiritual self, to your inner self, to your center, going through the center of these 2 towers here. And being able to, like I've mentioned a couple of times, bringing that into this world, this physical reality. Being able to draw what comes from this 8 of Wands and these messages that come forward from within you to you, and putting them to practice, seeing the wisdom and the depth of the knowledge of these messages that actually put you on a course of being in the center of the 2 towers, in the balance point, in the middle ground. So having the capacity to continuously experience more, feel more, see more, innerstand more, because you're in this balance point. You're observant of what's around you. You're observant of what these 2 towers hold. They give you a certain experience or a certain perception or perspective. But because you have the wisdom to stay in the middle still and wave as you go on by, to not be of the arguments, of the conflicts, of the distractions, observe them, see them, speak out about them, but they don't take your energy, they don't take away from your flame, from your fire, from your direction. And this is where we start to really get intensive intent going on regarding us projecting the reality that we want to project, that we want to see. Especially for those of you that resonated with these first two cards, this Moon card and this Seven of Cups, with that tsunami of a release of tears. Because with you doing this, you really are facing something that has been so ominous and frightening. And instead of these towers looking black and ominous and frightening, you start to see the sparkles within them. The levels that you're going up from the root, going up. Never noticed that there's 5 on each tower, which would make the 10. A balance point. And so, yeah, you guys who resonate with that in particular, you are literally feeling within the same day the results of projecting yourself out from a space that is cleansed of wounds that held you back, that limited you, that had you in a certain fear, even if it was in your subconscious, to be able to emerge as this crab and follow your spirit, to recognize that it's safe to do so. And so much more is experienced and attained through this, because you're projecting out from these cleansed inner grounds, this now fertilized soil, which reaches into your fire, which is a flame that draws you forward, and you project in a reality that is completely different to the reality you were projecting yesterday or the years previous, because you're projecting from the middle ground, the balance point. So amazing for those that resonate with this. You're already going to have a very interesting and awesome day. Remember, for those that I need to speak to on this, and I won't keep you much longer, is that for those that really resonate with those cards of that release of energy through physical, having the ritual of the physical also, because all of those emotions that have been pent up for so long and hidden, you know, has impregnated your physical self. You know, the acidy feeling, the acid in the stomach, the crampy muscles, in response to some extent of this. And so, although, you know, I'm not saying tears are fun, although when I do manage to cry, you know, I can make them so, and I can make use of it because I dig deeper. And so it's not to say that the divine feminine is always this beautiful, well put together, you know, image of divine femininity. There's a lot about the divine feminine that is messy and seemingly chaotic, but in its chaos perfection when it's used correctly. This force, this power, and this stillness and softness, it doesn't always look pretty when you're going through a process of a day like this. You may be not wanting to answer the door if you're feeling that moon card, and you know, I don't want people to think that, well, this is awful because I'm doing it, but right now it feels awful. Initially, it probably will. But it's within that awfulness that you get the flag points to know which memory to go back to reach back to that inner child and look at it again together, visualize yourself holding the hand of you as a child in that moment. Whisper something funny to yourself. feel that child giggle through your physical being. You'll giggle when you see and visualize you giggling in a moment that when it was happening was very frightening and very awful. And allowing yourself to tell yourself as a child that it's okay, we'll get through this. And actually we're revisiting it because we're going to take so much lesson out of this that takes us in completely the different direction to what this person intended for this lesson to give us, that, you know, it's all going to be good. Wait till the next part of this journey. So be allowing of yourself, I mean, to get the tissues out, to be in your cozy clothes, to shut the door and not answer it to anyone if you don't want to be in your cocoon, in your dark room, whatever that might be, your house, your garden, your room, your bath, and allow the divine feminine to flow you into the directions that you're then guided to go into without putting the restrictions on of how it should look in the physical. A lot of the time when deep divine feminine energy is going on, the physical can look a mess. It's releasing from all ends and sides. There's a release, but then there's a beauty to that because the skin is even more vibrant after this release, you know, because from the inside you're glowing, so from the outside you do too. You've released all those acids, those toxins, those salts. So much love. Let me know how this energy hits you today. I appreciate you all. So much love, so much balance, and so much wholeness doing this work. You're damn sure you're on a straight road to there. I love you all.